I'm Krisserin Canary.
And I'm Kelton Wright.
Follow our quest to publish our first novels.
From first drafts to query letters,
through inevitable rejection,
and hopefully eventual success.
From California
to Colorado, this is Pen Pals. Hi, Krisserin.
Hello, Kelton.
Quick note to our listeners. So we're recording this on Thursday, January 29th. Tomorrow, for us, is going to be when the Senate votes on whether or not they will shut down the government and include additional funding for the Gestapo, formerly known as ICE. We just want to acknowledge what's happening because it's terrifying. So we can talk books and agents for the next hour, but for the next couple minutes, we just want to talk to you about one of the places that we are donating. We are in California and Colorado. We're far away, but these things impact all of us, and we have to participate in order to protect our democracy. The money to fund ICE is coming from the trillions of dollars they have cut from healthcare for Americans. So where can I give money that I like to give, Krisserin?
Well, there are a lot of organizations out there that are helping immigrants on the ground, whether with legal funds or helping them after they get out of detention, because the truth is that ICE has a mandate to arrest 3,000 people a day, whether or not they are here legally. They don't really care. And so a lot of these funds are helping people with legal representation if they're seeking asylum or trying to recover from being brutally detained on the street. There is an auction going on. It will be over by the time this podcast airs, called Publishing for Minnesota, but they had a ton of really great organizations that they listed that they will be donating funds to. One that stuck out for us was the Women's Foundation of Minnesota. It's a coalition of philanthropic leaders rooted in communities most impacted by immigration-related harm. And so that includes urgent basic needs like providing food, housing, transportation, healthcare, and other essential emergent supports in response to attacks, urgent legal services, legal defense, due process support, rights protection, and then mobilizing and organizing. So know your rights education, community safety planning, advocacy, and coalition building. So
they do a lot.
They do a lot.
They do a lot. And
yeah.
We can do a very little by just donating even $5 to them today. And their link will be in the show notes. Just a reminder that little things make a big impact when hundreds of millions of us are doing them. So stand behind the good people of Minnesota.
I've been doom scrolling since Saturday. It's been all-consuming for me. I don't know about you. I'm a daughter of an immigrant living with immigrants in my house. We live in LA. You don't think that this is a place where you're going to encounter ICE or Border Patrol, but Keith Porter Jr. was murdered in Northridge, which is literally 10 minutes away from my house. And so it's scary. It's scary for me. It's scary for everyone else. But I think what Kelton said is true. We outnumber them. And while we might not be in Minnesota or in these other places where ICE is actively on the ground, going door to door, giving your dollars is something that you can do that makes you feel like you are participating outside of just protesting and calling your representatives, which you should also be doing. So with that being said, we just didn't want to open this episode and yap about stuff because it's been weighing heavily and it just feels so disrespectful not to acknowledge the moment that we're in because it's fucking enraging and terrifying. And it's so hard to focus on art and writing.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't send the newsletter last week. I was like, no way. I'm not sending in this essay about my house today. Get real.
Yeah. Well, how did your week go? Despite all of that.
Let's see. What were our goals from last week? Okay, so your goal was to submit your grad school application. Did you do it?
No, but I don't know why last week I was thinking we were in February. So I thought, by the time I record, it'll be February, like the deadline would have passed.
Okay.
And actually, what's really funny is that Veronica Bustamante, who is I think she's the director of the program. If loyal listeners will know that I interviewed her at AWP last March, I think it was. And so she called me and she was like, "Hi, Krisserin." I don't think she remembered me because she probably just had a list of people she was going through. She's like, "Just to let you know, we see your application in progress and the deadline's coming up, but if you need help with anything." I was like, "Oh." She called me. But the deadline I think is the 15th. I don't know why I thought it was the first. She said on the message it was the 15th, but I do have a little bit more time. I will say I did work on the essay. And I feel like it's in a really good spot. I sent it to Boyan, who is my harshest critic, my harshest critic. Anyone else who is, married to or has a immigrant who learned English as a second language in school will know that they are the biggest grammar. I don't want to use the word Nazis, but that is basically what it is. I'm like Joe Diddy, and grammar is a instrument I learned by ear, but so I'm waiting for him to read it and give me some feedback, and then I'm done, and I'm just gonna submit it, even though I still haven't decided what writing sample I'm gonna put in there. But I'm gonna do it this weekend.
Exciting.
Long answer, long. No.
That's fair. I mean, I said that my goal was to finish the proposal, and I didn't. I didn't. What has actually happened is that I made some like fundamental changes to it. And so the marketing section is done, the overview is done, the author bio is done, the like a lot of like all those bits are done. Chapter summaries need a little bit of work. I have to change some of the sample chapter stuff, but that should be relatively easy. I'm writing a new prologue, and my existing prologue will become chapter 1, and it just needs a little zhuzhing in this more pronounced direction that I'm going. But it is, it's the more you work on something, the more you can work on it, But I do feel close. And I also said I was going to sell the last 2 spots in the winter practice. When this airs, the winter practice enrollment will be closed, and I will be off to the races with my next class, which is great. So I have 1 spot left as of now. So I'm hoping I just, get that one filled on the last day of enrollment on Sunday when the next newsletter goes out.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I mean, it also it doesn't matter. These numbers are made up. I think there's 18 people in the class right now, so it's great. It's all gravy.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Feel good about
I
it.
love that.
I'm really happy about it. I did say I was going to do a spring class as well. And oh boy, your girl is getting real tired. You can obviously hear I'm quite sick again. And so looking down the barrel of springtime, I'm like, maybe there's something with a lighter touch I could do. So I'm thinking about what that is.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
I still think we need to plan our retreat for next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you guys going to come? Listeners, listen, I want you to tell us honestly. I need you to write to officialpenpalspod@gmail.com right now. If you're like, I'd go to a retreat. I'm not planning a retreat if there's going to be like 2 people that come.
I think by this time next year, we'll have enough people interested that we could do a late spring retreat somewhere. That is me
great.
Putting on my Kelton hat and manifesting.
All right. See you guys in the New Mexico desert in the warm sun of cacti next spring.
Next spring.
2027 when our books are coming out,
Exactly.
Love it. I want to talk agents.
Yeah, because didn't you get a little note
I got
in
a
your
little
inbox?
I got a little note this week, listeners. I got cold called by a really good agent and a great agency. She has really good taste. And this is the thing about agents that I did not understand in all my years prior until I started like really working on it and talking to writers and like being in the game, is that even when an agent is like, I like your writing, it doesn't mean anything. you have to have a project. Like, they're not just going to be like, well, I'll just spin your existing essays into a best-selling book. No, that's not what happens. You have to have a project ready to pitch to them that is in the wheelhouse of things they work on and isn't replicating something else they're working on. So when I was reading her wish list, there is a world where my book fits in to that wish list, but I could also see her arguing that it doesn't. And very soundly she could argue that. And so she told me, she was like, I found your writing via another writer, and I read a few pieces and I keep coming back to it, and like just want to know if you have anything that you want to share with me. And I was like, oh, do I? Do I? And I've never felt so excited that I had been putting in the work, that I finally was like, oh my God, I actually do have something to show you. And the pieces that her agency would want to see, I actually have ready. And so, except when I just mentioned that I do need to do a little editing on the sample chapters, that is still true. I have to send those to her, so those need a little zhuzhing. But yeah, I told her I had the flu, and then I was polishing up a proposal as we spoke, and she was just like, yeah, just send it to my email when you're ready. I'll take a look. And I was beside myself, Krisserin, when I read that message.
When I got your text, I was like, fuck yeah.
Because I already knew who she was. Like, it wasn't like I saw that name and was like, who is this? I saw that name and was like, what? What?
What a dream.
Yeah, so like truly a dream. I said this in my newsletter last week, but just even if it doesn't go anywhere with her, to have an agent that I really respect, consider my work worth representing, that is a milestone for me. And, you know, I'm trying to bask in that being enough, and knowing I'll probably still have to go through the regular querying process to find like where it lands. But still, really satisfying.
For me, you getting an agent is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Because of course your work is worthy of representation. Of course your book is going to go out into the world and be a hit success. You're an incredible writer. So I'm not surprised that she read your Substack and was like, I want to see more from this person. I am not surprised in the least bit. I will say that when I went to AWP last year and I was listening to the panel on agents that my friend Lilian Rivera was on, there was another author, and I don't remember their name, on the panel who had a very similar story where they had a podcast or a blog, or definitely had a podcast, and an agent reached out to them and was like, do you have a book? They did not have a book, but they're like, of course I have a book.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely have a book. Hold on, let me go find it.
Yes, I do.
It's in my bag somewhere. 1 second.
It is ready for you. But it is a very common thing, which we talk about platform being important, having a community being important. She found you through another writer who is a connection of yours who highlighted you, and that is how the game can work. And I don't want to jinx anything. I'll knock on all the wood, but I wouldn't be surprised if she reads your proposal and she's like, let's do this. A manuscript wish list is a made up thing that agents do that just gives people a guideline so that they know they're not barking up the wrong tree. Yeah. But she came to your tree and she said, this tree looks nice. And so let me see what this tree has to offer. It's not like you reached out to her. So you are her manuscript wish list. Kelton.
That's such a good, and I think, listeners will probably be able to read me like a book and know that I am just trying to pad my nervous system a little as I go through this process, because it is one that is, the whole system is built on rejection. 90% of the industry is rejection, and that's how it continues to function. And so I want to be prepared for the work and not for the miracle. And though if the miracle happens, obviously I'll be on the podcast in 2 weeks being like, guess what, guys?
I'll cry.
And, one thing that has kept coming back to me that everybody says is that you and your agent have to vibe. So, this I think this person's really cool, but we haven't talked on the phone. And I do think I who I am hanging out with is different than who I am in writing. In writing, especially Shangri-Logs, I am reverent, thoughtful. It's different than this. This girl is bitchy and down for a little gossip. And it's just who I am in writing and who I am right now. I'm not talking about voice, because voice is for me very usually aligned. Like how I write is how I speak. But what I speak about in the two different realms of in person and in writing, I feel like there's a big gap. So I want to make sure that I'm working with someone who doesn't find me off-putting. It would be good for that to be true.
You should ask her what her star sign is before.
Oh my God, that's so true. It should be like, hey, girly,
Before I send you my proposal.
I just want to make sure that your Chiron is aligned with my rising sign.
Can you tell me where you were born and what time?
Can you tell me the planets in your 12th house?
That's really funny. Well, I think that, and I know we can talk a little bit about the process of finding an agent in general, but a big part of it is getting an agent to read your writing and to want more. That is the whole point of querying, is to send out into the world not only here's the book that I'm writing and the market for it and how I see it working, but also your sample of writing that shows that you are a good writer, you know how to hook people, and you've already passed that hurdle. She's already read your writing and said, I want more. I know you're padding your nervous system, but I think that you're in this position too. And I think we forget about this because I'm kind of talking in circles. I just want to say, I see so much shit on TikTok that's like, this is the query letter that got me 8 letters of representation in 24 hours. And I want to be like, you're a liar. I hate you. But, ideally the process is that you are also interviewing this person. You're also trying to make sure that this is the person that you want to work with. And so I think that hopefully, yes, she loves your writing, loves your proposal, but hopefully you vibe with her. Like that's important, that is.
And I will say,
I feel like I'm mad that you describe yourself as potentially off-putting, but that's because I don't like people who talk badly about my friends.
well, the thing is that I like being a little off-putting. I like that I say exactly what I think, and that some people find that abrasive. Like, I have always found that incredibly charming about myself, and that has really weeded out people who I'm not going to be friends with quickly. And we've talked about, as a Capricorn, I'm just like, you don't like me? Good. Get out. But her list of who she's represented so far has writers that I've read that I really like, who have just banging sentences, And so I'm like, that alone, I'm like, pretty cool. And so I'll tell you what I did do. We talked last week about me getting a publisher's marketplace subscription, $30 a month, everyone. It's expensive. But I did put her name and her agency in it to see what were they picking up and putting down. What were the deals they were laying out? And it's interesting with publisher's marketplace. So listeners, if you're not familiar, Publishers Marketplace, when they announce, you've seen the blurbs, you've seen the screenshot when everyone's like, I have news. And it has a little Publishers Marketplace, and it's just a little piece of text where it's like title in all caps, a blurb about what it's about, and it's like represented by, and then it'll say stuff like, for a nice deal. for a good deal. And there's these like cagey terms, but these terms actually have money brackets that they fit in. So if someone says they sold a book for a nice deal, I believe it's under 50K. A very nice deal is 50K to 100K. A good deal is 100K to something wild. It's 100K to 500K, It's like 1 year's salary to generational wealth. And then And then I can't remember what the next one is, but then there's major deal, which is, I think, 7 figures. Just reading through these, it just is like, golly, it seems like you could get a deal, you know?
Nice deal for 50K. That's like an entry level salary.
Yeah, it's tough. One of the other writers I know who's written like 4 books and has a wildly popular newsletter. She was joking on one of her podcasts recently that people are like, oh, you made a bunch of money on that book. And she was like, uh, she basically implied that she made like 30K from the book Advance, even though she's famous. And so like, I think that like that is an option. And it's like one you kind of have to think about as a writer. It's like if your book does sell for 30K, do you have the time and bandwidth to write it? I would be so disappointed if my book sold for 30K and I would still write it. I'd be like, you know what? Fine.
I didn't know that those cryptic messages meant those tiers of
Yeah, they
sale.
have tiers. It's so interesting to know. And also, you don't have to include them in the blurb of publishing. You can say things that are even more cryptic, like at auction or preempt. And what I saw from this agency was a lot of at auction. And that to
Means
me
there's a bidding war of
that
some
to me
sort.
spoke very highly about I already knew this agency was good, but seeing them have so many books go out through auction spoke to their network. And at auction inevitably will drive up a price.
Mm-hmm.
I did a year ago. I didn't know any of this. It's crazy.
It's so hard to know how this industry works from the outside if you're not like born into it or just have mentors that help guide you. But I will say, so I'll talk a little bit about how when I was querying the process that I went through, because I went through a similar kind of research phase, right? I used Publisher, was it Query Tracker or Publishers Marketplace? I'm trying to remember which one where you can actually like search for agents by, I think it's Publishers Marketplace. Search for agents by the genre that you are publishing in.
Yes.
You can filter by US only, which is something you want to do if you are in the US, and open for submission. So what I did is I literally went through that list and control clicked on every single one and opened up a new tab in my browser and read through every single one and put them in a spreadsheet. And then I would look on Publishers Marketplace and see, have they sold a book in the last year? And I think there's a way to search for the size of the deal too, so that you can see how big the deals are. So I basically stack ranked these people
now on
these agents.
I think their search functionality might have evolved a little because now all of that's built into the first search. Amazing. Like it'll say deals this year, which ones were major deals. What you can do is you can type in a 1-sentence blurb of what your book is about, and it'll bring up the agents it thinks it'll be like, these 5 are the best matches and these ones are okay matches.
Interesting.
So it has like a really impressive search capability, and that's exactly what I was doing. And when I started my agent list was like, all right, memoir, nature, books about stewardship, books about animals, who's representing these sorts of things. There's also a couple of UK agencies that I have top on my list because it seemed like it didn't matter that they were in the US. I've got that list of agents, and you're looking at agencies like WME and CAA, and you're just like, oh. But then, of course, the problem for me when I started looking at those agencies under memoir is that it's all celebrities.
Yeah, and a lot of the agents at WME or CAA or ICM, they only take queries through referral.
Yeah.
Like, you got to know someone to introduce you, which I did get an introduction, or my old boss sent my query over to an agent at WME, and then nothing happened. But it was nice of them to do it, you know?
Absolutely.
But yeah, then, you go to the agency's website and research the agency itself and see the types of books they represent. You get to see the cover art of the books that they've published. And then if some agents have their own little website that has their manuscript wish list on it, which is nice. And do they have a social media presence? What are they talking about? It's a lot of time spent not writing.
Totally. And then once you start looking at, or you say you find 15 agents that you're like, I want to query these people. You don't just get to send them your query letter and your sample chapters. You know, it's like, it doesn't work like that. Everybody has a different list of what they want you to send and a different list of specifications of how they want you to send it. PDF, doc, in the body of the email. Some of them, they're like, we want you to submit it directly through these boxes on the website. We're not even going to tell you your emails.
Yeah.
Just
a
tell
lot
us
of query
which
tracker
agent you want to direct it
submissions.
to.
Yeah, there's a lot of like just filling out query tracker fields, forms, which is a good and bad thing because once you fill out a form, a lot of it is auto-filled because you're doing the same thing over and over again. I will say one red flag for me, if anyone's asking for less than 10 pages, I don't think it's worth querying that agent. I just don't think that it's enough to know whether or not, I guess, I don't know. I don't think it's enough to know whether or not you want to actually work with that writer. I had last year or 2 years ago, I don't remember, it was so long ago, I had an agent who I thought would be a good fit ask for 3 pages. And then she had the audacity to write back and said there was too much exposition. I was like, I hate you. But this is also the agent who got canceled because I don't know if you remember, she posted on Twitter, she was like, I got this query and I would love a book that's like this but different. And everyone just excoriated her online. Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And I do think that as when you're, I don't know, if you've like ever interviewed for a job or interviewed someone to hire, you can establish a lot about that person's work ethic and how good they are at what they do by how they present themselves. So the information that they're asking for, just like the general description of how they talk about what they're looking for, says a lot about their character. And so if you're getting red flag vibes from an agent, you're probably not far off. You're probably, your intuition is probably telling you something about them.
It's like you read Glassdoor reviews about a company. You're like, oh, I think I could get the vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
I do have a list I like, assuming that this magical connection doesn't pan out because of the contents of the book or my obsession with astrology. But I have been looking forward to doing that. But I'm also looking forward to not doing that.
Well, do you think that, I mean, what was the timeline? You were finishing your proposal. When were you going to start querying? Would you entertain this agent while also querying? Because the thing is that you can very often use that opportunity to be like, hey, I'm actually in talks with this agent. There's interest, because that will get the other agent's attention. And if there is someone that you really find, like, I don't know who Robin Wall Kimmerer's agent is, but like if her agent was on your list and said, I'm interested, you'd be like, great, I'm also like in talk, like, what would you do?
I don't know.
Let's dream for a second. Let's dream for a second.
Let's dream for a second. This is a nightmare to me. I imagine to many people, but let me think on this for a second, because it's, to me, when I was a young bird dating,
when you were a young warthog.
When I was a young warthog, out on the streets of New York and DC and all the other places I was single. Of course, in dating, you're like, yeah, I'm dating other people. Yeah, like, put your best cards on the table. What you got?
Literally never lived that life. I have no idea.
Oh my God. I was like, unless we contractually agree to be boyfriend and girlfriend, I'm out there, bud.
I got married at 21, Kelton. I dated like
21?
Yes, it's going to be my 20-year anniversary in June.
Listen, I never mapped the numbers in my head, okay? That's nuts. Yeah. Good for you.
Thanks.
Well,
he just called me and I was like, decline. I'm talking to my friend right now. I'm too busy for you.
Ben's always arguing that like people I dated were my boyfriends. And I'm like, no, 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 no. None of them were ever my boyfriends. Okay. If we did not agree to it, it was not real. But like that was so easy for me to just be like, I'm dating, you know, it's an open market. Like watching Love Island now. And they're like, we're open, we're open. But with an agent and with agents, I don't know. It just feels like it feels hard for me to be like, I'm gonna, well, thanks for your interest, but I'm gonna be querying other people, especially because you don't know how long that will take. You know, it's like if I send out to like my list of agents and I don't hear back from them in a week, you know, then am I telling this other person, hang on, I'm waiting to hear from people. You know, it's like,
No. But what
I
if,
don't like
like,
that.
you're not
I don't,
gonna
it all feels
not
messy.
okay, sure, fine, but it's not like you don't know if she reads your work and she's right away like, I love this, let me represent you.
Yeah, it's true.
Obviously, you know, you'll have a conversation and talk about it, etc. And there are questions that you should ask her,
Yeah.
you know, once you
Are there? Do you like me?
No.
You want to be my friend?
Yeah. No, I mean, but like, does she, like, how involved is
Yeah.
she in developmental process? And it's a little bit different,
Yeah.
I think, for nonfiction than fiction. Does she represent fiction along with nonfiction? If you had this fiction book that you're working on, would she be interested? Is it in a genre
Right.
that she, you know, there are things that you need to
That's
suss
fair.
out with her. But, and that might take some time. And I don't think you're going to be like, let me pause this to only
Yeah.
focus on this.
That's interesting.
Maybe I'm
That's
wrong.
interesting.
Maybe I'm
No,
wrong.
no, no.
I don't know. Because you're
And,
just
you know,
submitting some forms. It just get the ball
it's
rolling.
true. It's true.
You know?
And then, you know, it's
Because here, listen, like worst case scenario, you're right. She's like, you don't exactly fit my manuscript wish list, so never mind. That's not gonna happen. But then you can at least be like, well, I got these other irons in the fire.
Mhm.
So, like, you know.
Yeah. And I think if I could step back and think about it again as a job,
Mhm.
you know, it would be advantageous to have another iron in the fire
Yeah.
if it was a job. Because then I'd
Yeah.
be like, well, here's this leverage for me.
Well, let's look at it this way. Let's say there is an agency that you always wanted to hire. They like do all this really great work. You're like, and I'm thinking job hat, like a creative agency. And you send them an RFP and they're interested. Are you only going to get one bid? Or are you going to send out RFPs for multiple agencies to get multiple bids so that you can compare them?
If I was renovating my house, I would definitely get multiple contractor bids.
Yeah.
Except, you know, we would renovate our house ourselves. But I'm not going. I married a contractor. Okay, I'm not going out to a different bid.
There you go.
My bed sleeps in my bed. I think, you know, what would offer me more direction here is if I had a dream agent. You know, when I was building that list, all of these people seemed great, including the person who reached out to me. And so I'm sort of like, do you see the vision of the book? And so that's why I'm excited to send the material to her once I polish it, to be like, do you see the vision of the book? And is it something you would want to vision for the next 2 years, you know, while we're working on it and submitting it and getting it published, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I think that at the end of the day, like that's the most important part. And you're right. I can do that with multiple people at the same time. Because as much as I would like for this person to be the person, like she might read the proposal and be like, it has legs, but not for me.
It's not something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's really important. You know, when I went through the process of reading my book, Takima, I was so excited by it and understood the themes and had lots of interesting insights. And that's what you want. Like, we were having so much fun talking about my book that I was like, all right, she gets it and she's going to be able to represent this outwardly to other people, you know?
Yeah.
What you don't want, like I could probably sell this.
A friend of mine was telling me like a nightmare story about a previous agent they had where they were like CC'd on an email that was going out to editors or publishers. I can't remember the exact details, but the agent was describing the book and just described it completely wrong in a way that the author would have never spoken about the book and wouldn't want to write the book in that direction ever. And she just like panicked and was like, you can't talk about the book that way. I'm not going to write that book. That's not the book. And so you do want someone, not necessarily who's just a good salesperson, but who's a good salesperson for your book.
Yeah. And your topic, what you're writing about, is something that requires understanding and passion, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to
I think
care about
that
this stuff.
You do.
Otherwise,
and understand it and be interested in it and inspired by it, because the topic, it needs that. And so, yeah, I think my unsolicited advice is you should query still.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have been listening, I think I mentioned this on the last episode, but so many episodes of agents on the London Writers Salon. Just listen to them gab. And it's just, they're all so different. There was one agent on their show. They asked her, they were like, do you want things, nonfiction and fiction proposals and manuscripts professionally edited before they get to your desk? And she was like, no, like you're just creating another barrier of entry for people who can't afford that. She's like, if the raw idea and talent are there, I can read past them not knowing perfect grammar. Give me the good stuff, like the origin stuff, and skip that. And then in 3 episodes later, someone was like, it should absolutely be edited first. Take your work seriously. And it's like there's an air of truth in that, of course. But those are 2 really different vibes. And like those are only 2 agents out of the thousands and thousands of potential ones to reach out for. So it is a testimony to like do the research. Like it's such a big part of writing the book.
Yeah.
And to your point, like thinking about like, will she represent the novel? You know, and it's like, I have a couple scrappy pages where I could be like, listen, my tone in a novel is different than it is in essay. Is this up your alley at all? And my search through Publishers Marketplace tells me it could be. I think you're raising some valid points, some really good questions to ask, other than me just begging her to marry me.
On the point of editing, though, I do think that you don't want to give an agent an easy no.
Yeah.
You don't want any glaring things that are going to just completely turn them off. And they get so many unsolicited queries in their inbox and through Query Tracker. And so many people are writing at very different levels of skill. Very few people go to MFA programs and train formally or take as many classes as I've taken or you've taken. Some people are just completely doing it on their own and they don't know what they don't know. And so I feel like that second agent is probably saying that to cover bases. Yeah. You know, that first agent maybe has a little bit more flexibility and bandwidth to see past more novice writing mistakes.
Yeah. Novel writing.
Novel writing. I just think that you want to put your best foot forward. We're going to talk to my teacher, Mark Sarvis, next week. And he always says, don't rush. Don't rush. That's the biggest thing he always says. Like an agent that is a good agent will wait. And you want to make sure that you are putting your best work in front of them. So...
yeah. I mean,
but then again, I listened to his advice and then didn't send my book to that agent who emailed me 5 times asking for it. So maybe, I don't know.
You had special circumstances. Okay.
I'm going to tell him that story when we talk to him next week and be like, by the way.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
I'm so excited for you. I'm not surprised though. Every time you send me goodness, I'm like, yep. That's right.
I'm feeling good. I am a little overwhelmed with the chapter summaries. I'll be honest. Trying to map out a narrative arc through an outline in chapter summaries of chapters you have not written is to me like a really crazy format that I have to map against. Not every agent wants those. So I should say that up top that I'm just building out the proposal in the most complete way that I can based on the broadest asks I have seen. It might end up being that the agent that I work with doesn't even care about these chapter summaries and is like, just write the book. But that's like a nonfiction kind of thing. If I had a
Yes.
manuscript, that would be really different.
Yeah. Yeah, because you got to write the whole damn thing
Yeah.
before you can query an agent.
Yeah.
Have you gone through your list of, did you say 15 or you were theoretical? Was that a theoretical 15?
It's about 15. Let me bring up my list.
Okay. Okay.
Let me bring her up.
Let me bring her up.
So let me tell you what I did on Publishers Marketplace. And when I was looking up agents from books that I love, I wrote down their name and put in their website and moved on. I made sure that I basically hit the wish list. And then I was like, I'm going to go back later to figure out what they need. You sent me a really good template of like how to track everything they need, but I was like, this doesn't work for my brain. I just need their name and their website, and then I will just go through them one by one and be like, okay, what do they need? I talked about doing this last week where I was saying that I'm going to time how long it takes me to submit to each of these agents, just as like a curiosity, to see how long this process actually is, because the things with this level of tedium while you're doing them can feel really long, but in the end it might take me like 3 hours to query 15 people or something.
Yeah.
But I think I am going to do that. There's no reason not to start looking at what they're asking for, because if they're not asking for chapter summaries, then I'll be ready to go by this Saturday.
That's what I wanted to ask, because I feel like, based on what you said, you're kind of doing more homework than you need to. For some of them you probably are. Maybe for some of them you aren't. But there could be a handful of people that you could just query now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. The only thing I have to get done is changing the prologue and chapter 1 kind of structure and what they cover. The friend of mine who is reviewing my proposal very smartly was like, you have this amazing intro to your overview or your synopsis. And she's like, and then it's not the beginning of the book. She's like, why is this amazing imagery not the beginning of the book? And I was like, touche, touche. And that's because it was going to be later in the book. But then I was like, you know what? It's a really strong prologue, because I can tell the story in completion later, but just give the visuals as like this entrance to this life that I'm living. So I'm going to do that on Saturday. I would normally use that as my newsletter writing day, but the newsletter is queued up because I didn't send it last week. So I have that morning to just work on the prologue.
Right.
And then I'm ready to start querying.
Yeah.
Including sending it to the agent who reached out to me. So once that is dialed in, she will be top of the list.
Yeah, and you had a friend who was going to introduce you to her agent. You have a lot of, I feel like, friendly first touches, which is really exciting.
Yeah. I have 3 inboxes that are open to receiving it. So that is really cool. I'm just thinking through, like, I'm going to write the book. I'm actually going to write this book. Which is cool.
Super cool.
So, and then I have to write the novel.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time, okay? Watch me do it at the same time. If I could get an advance good enough, you better believe I'd do it at the same time.
You think you would kill your clients and just focus on writing?
I would keep my one core client, because they pay the bills and they're awesome. And they just expanded my hours. So I'll stay with them. But I think I would actually tell other smaller clients that I can't work with them. So that would be exciting. But, that depends on like an advance that actually pays. It is, crazy to think about how little some of the advances are and the work that goes into a book.
Yeah.
My brain is still caught in like 1995, where I'm like, the dream salary is $100,000 a year. And it's like, yeah, it's great to have that money.
Yeah.
It's $1,000 a month just to pay for childcare. So
Yeah.
And that's living in the middle of nowhere.
I know.
Just trying to pay my health insurance now
That's
is
insane.
so insane. Can I tell you something that's a huge bummer for me? So when we were purchasing our health insurance, so it's $16.50 a month, and I was so overwhelmed by having to spend $1,000 more every single month. In that moment of overwhelm, I chose not to get us dental insurance. Because I was like, we almost never go to the dentist. Like,
It's also a scam. Dental insurance is a scam.
And like, I read some Reddit threads that were like, you can just get a cleaning for like $100, you know, like just chill out.
Just go to Mexico.
And so I was like,
get your dental
I'm not going to
work
get dental insurance.
And of course, this year you probably like need it, right? Like, what happened?
Oh my God. Dental insurance is like $60 a month. Okay?
Girl.
Like, and I feel like if I was just overwhelmed and I was like, I don't need it. We don't need it. I have already had to spend $400 on dental care for the family. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like if I had just.
That reminds me, I need to make dental appointments for both of my kids. They're so old.
Well,
you know, our dentist
immediately.
Our dentist just is like, we're not taking insurance anymore. I'm like, cool. Great. Now I gotta find a new freaking dentist.
Part of the problem was that we couldn't find people who would take the dental insurance we had in town. So we were driving 2 hours away. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. And like, you know, Woods is just going to need someone to look at his teeth. But it turns out Woods has bad teeth. And so it's becoming a pretty expensive proposition. So what I'm saying is I need a big advance to pay for dental insurance.
Yeah. You know, there were a couple questions that Kima asked me when we started working together. One was, how much do you want to sell this book for? Do you have financial goals for it? I hadn't thought. I'm like you. If it happens, great. Yeah. I haven't put my brain into the place where I'm thinking of it like a business, and I should, because we spend a lot of time on these books.
Yeah.
And time is not free.
Yeah. And I think we do ourselves a disservice by like, you know, being in the category of art and being like, as long as I get to make my art. It's like, no, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
And I'm good at it. Yeah. And you should pay me for it.
Yeah. And if you go in Publishers Marketplace and you see some of these deals, you're like, my book, I definitely should be able to sell my book for. I want a major deal. That's what I want. I want a major deal. My book is very commercial. It should go for a major deal.
You should get a major deal. I don't think I have a major deal on my hands.
I don't know how much nonfiction goes for.
But I do think I don't think it would be crazy to get a good deal.
See, this is what I've thought about this. This is what you need to do. You need to loosen your morals a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Tell me more. I was literally in Target for some reason. I was walking. I think I needed something for the kids' school or something. And they had a huge Mel Robbins section. And I was like, God, if I just cared a little bit less and was a little bit more willing to scam people, I could be a multimillionaire.
Oh, girl. It's just like so hard. Many years ago now, I had a good friend who started this little side hustle selling wares. I'll just say that.
Wares?
And selling wares.
What do you do?
And I was
sell
like,
wares.
I was like, so babe, where are you getting your wares from? And she was like, China.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know the supplier? And she was like, well, it was the best deal. And I was like, do you know how they're being made? And she was like, in a factory.
Gross.
And I was like, yeah. And I just, from that moment on, was like, do you not care? And she didn't care what the things she was selling were made of. And you know, she was like, yeah, but this is like a business, Kelton. Like, I'm not going to make money if I care about that. And I was like,
she's not wrong.
God.
She's not wrong.
The thing is, she's not wrong. And I have thought, you know, you see all these business classes where they're like, just come up with a need that needs filling. And I once did have a good idea, but it was based on plastic. And I was like, I'm not pursuing that. Like, I'm not going to make more plastic trash that satisfies a temporary need that ends up in a landfill. Like, just to be rich. And, Ramit Sethi, who I fucking love, he hosts the podcast Money for Couples. He would say, like, I think he would probably argue that the best thing you can do is get rich and give that money back and funnel it back into the system in the right way.
What damage are you doing in the meantime
with
to the environment? And
Ooh, yeah. I know. And like, I just, like, I don't know. I once bought this woman's self-led day course that she was selling online because she was selling it for like $15 because she had a lot of followers. And I was like, I just want to see what this is, like what people are selling, that they're like, you do this for the day, it changes your life. And it was like some journaling questions on a PDF. And I just was like, it's scams. It's nonsense. It's bullshit. It's just taking advantage of people. Yeah. And like, it's like, anyways, if they want to have a Mel Robbins display for me in Target, maybe.
No, but you know what? I think your book, I could see you on like Good Morning America.
The thing is, my book is very much against those things in a lot of ways. It will be woven through. That's not what the book is about.
But you're talking about finding home, and so many people are so mobile now in America because of COVID and other things. And so I actually feel like your book does have, and this is how you should sell it, mass market appeal.
I mean, I say in my proposal that I think it's an amazing book club book. And I do believe that because it asks you to investigate whether the place you call home actually feels like it, if it is actually a place where you thrive. And the book is not prescriptive in saying that you need to move somewhere that is, but you can create better conditions for growth for yourself where you are. And this book kind of talks about how I did that and how I approached that. And I do think it is worth investigating. But the problem is that it requires a reader to be investigative and reflective about their own life. And that is hard to be mass market.
I don't think so. I mean,
I think people might be aspirationally reflective.
How many copies did The Secret sell?
Yeah, but the thing is, The Secret promises you something.
Amanda France, whatever, that Real Housewives of, have you seen this woman, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
No, but she's famous
because she scammed people with this, like. Anyway, I think your book has mass market appeal. I think it would make a great book club book, and we're just going to put that out into the universe because I definitely want to read it. Well, I think it's a good segue to talk about our goals for the next week.
Yeah.
What are they, Kelton? I think you should query some agents. I think
you're right. I think you're right that I should query. I'm going to query 3 agents. Yeah, that's the number. I'm going 3 just because I don't want to. I still have the flu. Okay, and I have to launch the class. I haven't finished building the materials. I owe clients things.
You're not that busy.
The child hasn't been in daycare all week. I'm so tired. But I'm gonna say 3. Okay. I'm gonna query 3.
Okay, good.
What about you?
Good.
Let's move it forward.
It's exciting. It's exciting. Girl, you give me some goals because I feel a bit stagnant right now. Obviously I will apply to the grad school program, but I've been solo parenting this week. Like Boyan's been out of town. And so and Sabine has the flu. And so I've been kind of like not only responsible for on my own taking care of the kids, but Ren doesn't have her play buddy. And so I've just been a little bit overwhelmed with parenting, but I just don't I don't have the drive to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not particularly inspired to work on my short stories. I don't know if it's time to pick up the second book again. I have my agent meeting on the 13th of February. So I've got some time between now and then, which, by the way, astrologically speaking, is meant to be the turning point for Libra. Libra's supposed to have a great year this year, and Capricorn and Aries and Cancer, I think.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Cap's supposed to have a good year. I'm ready. Okay. Asian meeting is not for a couple weeks. Submission is not till end of Feb. You know what I think you should do? I think you should finish the grad school application early to just get it out of the way.
I'm gonna do that, yeah.
And then I think you should read a couple books you want to read.
I've been trying. I am in such a book slump.
Yeah, I think you should have a Barnes & Noble date. I think you should take a sick day from work. Once the girls are healthy and back in school and the man is home doing his duties.
The man.
The man.
The man.
I think you might have a bookstore beach day. I think you need a little soul restoration. Or you could go to the spa. You know how much I love the spa.
I do need. This is the other thing I didn't mention at the top, but like my body is breaking down. I injured my knee. I'm pretty sure I tore my meniscus playing tennis. I have had skin issues on my face that are driving me insane, that make me feel gross and like are painful. So I'm going to meet with the doctor next week. I have an appointment set for that. But
I'm retracting beach because I don't want you walking on uneven sand with your broken body. But I am going to advocate for a bookstore and spa. I think you need to like treat yourself. Have you done something nice for yourself?
I really don't have a problem treating myself.
Yeah, but you're worn down. Then treat yourself again.
Yeah, okay. I like that idea. Maybe a library
Finish
date.
the
I haven't been at the
application.
library in a while.
Oh, go to the library.
I love the library. Yeah.
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 Go to the library. Get a nice latte. Like, not every week has to be work. I would pay so much money to have my only goal for the week be go to the spa and read a book.
I wish I could like fly to Colorado and kidnap you and take you to the spa. And you and I could have like a weekend of reading and massages.
Shout out to my husband. I have to give this to him. We went to Taos the other weekend between my bouts of flu to visit his cousin. And I thought we were all going skiing on Sunday morning. And it turns out that Ben was just taking wood skiing and he'd booked me a massage at the spa.
Oh, Ben.
Yeah. And so I just disappeared into the spa. And when I came out, Woods was ready for his nap. And I was like, oh,
best.
Yes. So good. Like, he nailed it.
I love
Good
that.
husband.
That's great.
Yeah.
He needs to give Boyan some tips. We're just so busy with, like, I was gone in Miami and then he was gone the week before. It were like 2 ships passing in the night, but, okay, right. I like that. I'll go on a library date. I will do that.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, I think the other thing that could be good is just doing a little bit more research on publishers. That was one thing that Keem had asked me, like, who's your dream publisher? And I was like, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I did do some initial research on editors, and I think that's what we're going to talk about when we meet next Friday. But maybe I'll do a little bit more of that. If I'm going to the library in Barnes & Noble, which, by the way, in Calabasas are right next to each other, very convenient, I can do a little bit more research on editors and publishers. So that'll be my other goal, my secondary goal.
Okay, good.
Okay, great.
Okay, all right. Listeners, I do want you to tell us if you would go to a retreat with us.
Yeah, I love planning things. We will make it so fun. It will be so, like, when I planned my birthday trip to Sedona, my girlfriends were like, can you plan every trip? I had activities. I had it all mapped out. We'll make it fun for those who drink, fun for those who are sober. Kelton and I are a hoot, I promise. Let's make it happen. There'll be some craft work, some reading. It'll be so awesome.
You can make this happen by emailing officialpenpalspod@gmail.com. You can find us on all the platforms at penpalspod. Obviously, we love hearing from you, so please write to us and talk to us. Please share this podcast with your friends.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be so cool if you were the person who recommended this podcast before we were famous authors?
I will say, I get these inbounds to our podcast email from people selling SaaS products for podcasters. And apparently we're in the top 1% of podcasts because most podcasts only ever have 3 episodes. And we are on the 16th episode of our 2nd season. So we must be doing something, right?
We're doing great.
We're just going to keep
great.
going because we have fun doing this.
We'll keep going.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
and we're going to,
please.
listen, we're going to keep going when we're famous. So
Yeah.
if you get in our inbox now, who knows what will happen.
Honestly, if you write to me and you got something going on, we had someone send us a DM on Instagram saying how much they appreciated the podcast and it got them to finish their book, and they are publishing a children's book. And I was like, please send us the link so we can send out the pre-order for you. We want to celebrate your wins because that's why we're doing it. You guys, people who write into us and say that we're helping them is what keeps us going. So please,
It's the best.
please send us a note. We would love to hear from you. Where to follow us. Also, just a reminder, Women's Foundation of Minnesota. We will link to it in the show notes, but if you're listening, it's pretty easy URL. It's wfmn.org. So please go and support the people of Minnesota with your dollars if you are in a position to do so.
Happy writing and end fascism.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See you next week. Happy writing.